Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be doing something incredibly stupid. I have no idea how much longer is in this game. Claptrap, I swear to fucking God. But I will not stop playing it for the rest of this night until the game is finished. It is currently, I don't know if it'll pop up on Steam overlay. This is epic, this is not Steam. It is currently 4:06 a.m. We're fucking doing it. I don't think we have much left. Oh, I'm also eating pizza, future me, so I'm sorry.
Pizza time.
It's kind of cold, but it's okay. Ooh, that bitch loud.
Oi! Watch it!
Oh no, what a tough boss. Oh no. He was so strong. He was like Goku, he was the strongest. Oh. No, I got pizza.
Oh, almost forgot. Me and Lena, we made it on the elevator too. Right where you're standing.
Okay, set on. Whatever will be, will be. Our future's not ours to see.
Que será, será.
Fuck off. Oh shit. Don't slap my gonads like that.
An Iridium device over there. Activate it and I'll join you. And then we'll have our talk.
Uh-oh. I think we're about to get shot. What up, short stack?
That might have filled the whole universe, but I can't let that be how my story ends.
Alright, shortstop. We got this. You do be looking kind of thick, though. I ain't gonna lie about that. Homie looking extra fine tonight.
One shot. I gotta fix this. For later.
Later, hosen. That loot? I haven't even done anything yet. Holy shit. I didn't do anything, man. This place is fucking gorgeous.
Just joshing you.
You little shit. What is it? Shoots guns instead of bullets. What the fuck?
After we beat that monster, we beat the monster.
Nope, I don't want to hear about your sex talk. I'm good. Alright, let's see how this gun shooter works real quick. Oh, it's grains? That's not worth it. That's not worth it at all. The Pyre of Stars. That doesn't look very starry. Shit's about to be lit. Or she's gonna blow up. Okay.
This way. Come on.
Let's go, shorty.
Look at that.
This way.
God, it's a really poor fire texture. I know, shocking. And now we form Exodia.
This way. Come on.
Whee!
I can take it.
Oh my god, this is just a repeat. This is just a repeat of Halo 4. Of the last mission of Halo 4. What the fuck? What a fucking sentence. The wet well. Thank you. Pizza time.
Pizza time.
Yes! So much power! And I am the conduit!
Why are they making zombie noises? I saw my own grenade murder my ass. That is poetic. I'm pretty sure that was like a residual line from like when I was electrocuted. Oh my fucking god.
If Tyrene Legion wasn't for you, I've been telling myself I still belonged on the front lines. A leader needs to know when to stand aside and let a soldier do their job. This is your fight. It worked!
I think I'm good. I don't think I want to do this.
Add time and space to the long list of things I have to do.
That dashing fook over there was making eyes at your sister.
Pizza time.
Pizza time.
Go on. Vault's all yours.
Isn't this the Destroyer's vault? You just want me to get murdered so you can have all this green loot to yourself. How about you have some more? Fuck it. Let's go.
What does Lilith think she's doing?
What the fuck?
Closing the Great Vault. She's saving Pandora.
That could kill her.
She knows.
This is the dumbest.
Firehawk.
This is the dumbest fucking shit I've ever seen. That was so fucking stupid.
She's just a girl and she's on fire. Hotter than a fantasy.
What the fuck is this game? Oh my god. You don't get to win me over with gay fan art. I'm not that kind of girl. That was fucking stupid. Alright, now that I ended up finishing the game, let's talk about the dumpster fire that is this fucking sequel. Spoilers ahead for Borderlands 2, 3, Tales from the Borderlands, and technically the pre-sequel, but you should honestly really only care about one of these. And no, it's not Borderlands 3. Anyone who actually cared about the Borderlands series before this game came out has probably seen the massive amounts of backlash, allegations, and backhanded dealings that happened before and after this game's release. Honestly, it's kind of insane how much has come out about the game in the past year or so, but a lot of it has yet to be answered fully. I think a lot of what people have been saying about this game is true, and since I don't think that 2K or Randy, How to Set a Company, On Fire Pitchford are particularly nice groups of people, it's about time that this stuff is being surfaced. It's kind of like how Hollywood had their Me Too movement and many notorious celebrities were brought to justice, except now it's just some guy who makes games on the internet. After looking into it a bit, it's kind of insane to see how far 2K were willing to go and destroy their reputation over one measly game. Granted, it's been probably 7 years in the making and rumored for about half of that, so I'm sure they weren't too happy about some of the leaks that came out before its release. However, sending the fucking Good Squad to someone's house and copyrighting a video 60 fucking times is not how you punish those who broke embargoes. You take them to court, like a normal American company. Some of it probably isn't true, and I'm not saying that any of it is factual information. All I am saying is that I searched the internet for 2 hours and this is what I came up with. And what did all of this pre-release controversy amount to? Not a goddamn thing. Borderlands 3 sold 5 million copies in 5 days, and 2K is swimming in money now. Probably, I heard something about the lawsuit in there too. If you went into this review expecting an underdog story about how the community came together against a big bad, then you have clearly put way too much faith in the internet. I was a pretty big fan of Borderlands, playing Borderlands 2 for probably 100 hours and doing around like 5 playthroughs of it. It was unlike anything I played before, and as a 12-year-old, it was also really fucking hard. Now, at the ripe old age of 6 years later, playing Borderlands 3 felt like the game regressed back from what the sequel had set up. Borderlands 3 is bad, but to explain why it's bad, I first need to explain why Borderlands 2 is incredible. Borderlands 2 is regarded as one of the best games of the last decade. It's kind of timeless in a similar way that Left 4 Dead is timeless. I guess 7th gen 4-person co-op shooters were just an instant cash cow. Well, some of them at least. It's pretty easy to get someone to play this game, and it's not like it's an exclusive game by any stretch of the word. It's on PS3, Xbox 360, remastered for modern consoles, and it's been on PC for fucking ages. Fuck, it even has a PS Vita port. What fucking AAA game that you know of gets backported to the Vita? Skyrim didn't get a Vita port, that's for damn sure. It's on Switch too, in case anyone's actually curious about that. It sold over 22 million copies as far as my one Google search states, and honestly, it's for good reason. Borderlands 2 is a vibrant and incredibly engaging game. The characters and writing are solid, the gameplay is smooth, fun, and hardly ever game-breaking, and there's enough content to justify the 100+ hours into this game. Hell, they added DLC to this game in 2019. That's how much 2K knew that this game was worth its investment. Compared to the original, it's at least 10 times the quality of the original Borderlands. The color palette isn't gross, the guns are actually varied and actually unique, and the style is perfect and never feels out of place. There's an actual memorable story here, and it's incredibly charming. Anthony Birch and Matthew Armstrong took a really solid foundation and built on it more effectively than they had any right to. This game is so easy to enjoy, unless you don't like surface level jokes like naming a diamond pony butt stallion. This game is something I find incredibly interesting, because despite the fact that it's a 7th generation game, it never reminds you that it's 8 years old. And if you're one of the 5 million people who wound up buying the 3rd installment, you know that this concept did not resonate with the writers. From the moment you watch the trailers for Borderlands 3, you're bombarded with dated references and obvious parodies to content creators and streamers. Now listen, I'm not opposed to throwing easy punches like that, but I don't think biting the hand that feeds you is something that you should do before your game is even fucking released. I don't think many people realize how much creators influence the sales of products, even when it's not like a branded deal or anything like that. Hell, look at how many Battle Royale games there are and how much they all make. That genre would not have the same growth had it not been timed as perfectly as it was, and if not for the creators who pushed it there. And in case you don't believe me, Fortnite was supposed to be a PvE game in the same vein as Plants vs. Zombies with building, and now it's a fucking free-to-play billion-dollar franchise with a merchandise line of things that had no right to exist. And that would not have happened without the massive amount of creators and followers. So to satirize that particular group of people and label them as psychos and fanatics is really not the greatest start you could have made. As much as I enjoy making fun of simps and white knights who would do anything for their queen, doing this shit 500 times is torture to someone who waltzed through the entire game half asleep. Tyreen and Troy are obnoxious, not to a respectable degree where it's tasteful, but to the point where any real content creator or streamer could probably sue for slander. It's so aggressive and misplaced for a game that's meant to be about shooting things with shiny guns. I guess that's kind of the point, to make them as annoying as possible so that you end up hating them, but it's doing it in such a lazy way. Handsome Jack was the most charismatic and fleshed out character in all of Borderlands 2, and it's almost impossible not to hate him. He's charming and witty and fun to listen to, but it's never his dialogue that makes him infuriating. It's his actions that make him an actual threat, and the shift in tone after the bunker is so effective because it makes sense. Up to that point, Jack is just fucking around with the characters, messing with them in ways that would break them down psychologically rather than outright kill them. Think about it for a second. Why would he poison his own crew member, fake a corrupted battery, and orbital strike a base instead of sending his robot army if not to just fuck with the raiders? In his eyes, based off of the ending to the pre-sequel, he already wins and gets the warrior, so there's no need for him to worry about anything. There's no urgency, there's no stakes for him because he already knows that he wins in the end. But after the bunker, Jack is unhinged. Roland's death is a representation of Jack wanting revenge for what you did to Angel, and the fact that he's trying so aggressively to kill you after this point fits within his character. The huge fucking sentinel along with droves of troops in the end sequence of the game illustrates this as well, and even at the end when he wakes the warrior, his first command isn't to conquer the world or blow something up, it's to kill you. He taunts you throughout the game at points where it makes sense, and his jokes are actually entertaining to listen to. He's an effective villain, as evidenced by the hordes of video essays about how to write a good antagonist. If Jack is your rad, kind of alcoholic uncle, then Tyreen is a fucking annoying cousin that made your uncle into an alcoholic. God, these two are so fucking annoying. They constantly spout shitty jokes, they mock you relentlessly despite you actually hindering their plans, and dear lord do they act like stuck-up brats. Towards the introduction of both of these games, there is one solitary line that illustrates both of these games' places.
Hey, God, these pretzels suck. How's your day been, buddy? We haven't really talked much since I left you for dead. Hey, you think you'll freeze to death out there? No, probably not. Bandits will get you first. My day? Been pretty good. Just bought a pony made of diamonds. Yeah, because I'm rich. So, you know, that's cool. Okay, bye.
And my followers will do anything I ask. Oh, here, quick demo. Hey, you! Cut off your favorite leg.
Oh, Tyreen!
I didn't say both. He cut off both. Now he's trying to stand on his stumps. One sec. They just taste better when they're afraid. What was my point? Oh, right. My followers will die for me.
Borderlands 3 is trying so hard for the Calypso twins to be Handsome Jack. They want these two to be cocky, charismatic, likable, but also just the worst, and once you notice it for yourself, it sticks with you through the entire experience. You can't have your Handsome Jack cake and Twitch eat it too. You need to commit to the side that you want the story to be. And unfortunately, this game does not reach the same heights that the second installment did. Now this is the part where things get a little bit nicer, because guess what? The gameplay is actually really good in this one. Rather than take a step back from Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3 amps up the gameplay in the best way possible. And by that, I mean they went fucking ballistic with the amount of weapons and abilities. Having a build that can essentially have grenades popping out of you at the same rate of a submachine gun is fucking ridiculous, and it's exactly what I wanted out of this game. I haven't even scratched a surface on the amount of dumb shit guns you can get, and I'm already impressed. In Borderlands 2, I would typically only have one loadout and sometimes would switch out one gun depending on the certain circumstances. In Borderlands 3, I constantly swap guns just to see what kind of bullet is going to come out. Between laser beams, homing pistols, and magnetic radiation bullets, there's no shortage of how these tier 3 subs can go down. And honestly, the gameplay really banks on you switching weapons constantly. The level design is a lot like Doom and Destiny because each mission is just a series of miniature arenas where the only objective is to kill all the baddies, a la Doom, and each area is repeated for side missions with a little differentiation, and is about as interesting as a strikes from Destiny. For anyone who doesn't play Destiny, that's not exactly a compliment, but it's not the biggest detriment to the game either. This is probably most accurately shown in the cartel event that happened in May. Now, I didn't have this game during the first couple of events, but this particular one summarizes pretty much everything the level design has to offer. You go through the exact same mission every single time you activate the quest, with the only variety being the enemies you fight and where you grab a golden mask for the boss fight, and honestly, it got repetitive the first time I did it. However, the reason I did the cartels event as many times as I did is because it's guaranteed legendary loot, which is my biggest issue with the gameplay. Now, I know I'm gonna come off as an old loser who pines for the days when games were hard, but as someone who still can't get past the introduction of Dark Souls, this game is too fucking easy. You gain legendaries far too quickly in this game, and viable loot spills out of 90% of the enemies you kill. Any sense of challenge this game could have had is pretty much rendered moot with maybe just 1 hour of grinding. I shouldn't be getting legendaries before level 20, much less have an inventory full of them before level 15. I get it, the legendaries are fun to play around with, and they are the best part about this game, but I never felt like I earned that legendary pistol that let me walk through 90% of my encounters without a care in the world. Over-the-top gameplay can be achieved in a game while also making it a game that's challenging. Borderlands 2 starts you off with nothing, so every improvement you make is meaningful. Borderlands 3 has a Destiny effect, a drip-fed number cruncher but more unbalanced. My setup was achieved by level 12, and despite the fact that I eventually did switch it out, I never felt like I needed to change it because it was perfect. I played Cartels just to get the Echo skin, and I wound up reaching level 28 before even getting to Eden 6, which is the third planet in the game. Quality of life stuff is nice, Mantle and Slide are both abilities that are perfect for this game, but I wish that the finer details weren't the thing that were focused on the most here. Cereal boxes with voice lines are cool, and sneaky nods to past games are fun, but for a game that took 7 years to make, I would have liked some fulfillment for that wait. This game is fun, and I would go as far to say that it capitalizes on the gameplay loop that Borderlands 2 set up properly. Increasing the ridiculous nature is what this game should have done, and I wouldn't say that the game falters in that. However, as someone who died probably hundreds of times in the first playthrough of Borderlands 2, I would have liked it if the game presented an actual challenge. I used one gun for the entire second half of the game, and there was no reason to switch it out because it was the most broken gun that I found in my playthrough. Maybe I am a cranky old man who just wants to be challenged, but in my defense, the previous game satisfied that desire for me. God Queen Tyreen coming at you live is probably the worst part about this game, just barely beating out Vaughn's underwear. I don't think I'm going to end up on a Reddit page for saying that, because I think a good majority of people who have played this game would be in agreement. I would lump in Troy with this, but the difference with him is that A, he does have somewhat of a character arc in this game, and B, he dies way earlier than Tyreen does. And I guess the fact that his boss fight was the better of the two might have something to do with it as well. Tyreen is just obnoxious from beginning to end, mainly due to how she's presented as a persistent antagonist. Now, there's nothing wrong with an antagonist that is always there to egg you on, as seen with these examples. If you want good examples on how to do the persistent antagonist, these are great examples of how to do it well. I think that the biggest thing that this game lacks, in reference to its writing, is character and personality. Say what you will about Handsome Jack or GLaDOS and their motivations or whatever, but they ooze personality. They might have been the biggest thing you were fighting against in these games, but god damn was it so much fun to have them around. The writers obviously wanted to continue with that trend of persistent antagonists, but they gave it to the one character who does not change and does not have a likable personality in this game. Troy sort of falls into this category, but throughout Eden 6 you actually get to see him slowly get sick of Tyrene's shit, and he starts to become the lead antagonist after being her bitch for the first half of the game. Once you fight him back on Pandora, it's a fully realized character arc. Sure, it's kind of dog shit in comparison to any other actual video game, but it was visible to the point where it somewhat made sense. I didn't shed a tear when he died, but I was satisfied with the story once he got gobbled up by that fucking hobgoblin. But then we just go straight back to the worst part of this game. Motherfucking tryhard Calypso. The ending for this game gets its own special segment because watching it for the first time made me simultaneously die of laughter and of pain from how much this game fundamentally sums itself up with this final act. After wombo comboing Troy to death, he gets dusted by his sister and you're treated to a fake out ending teasing up Borderlands 4, which, being that this game took between 6 and 8 years to come out, is just fucking ridiculous. Honestly, I don't think any game studio could get away with this in a way where they would generate a positive reaction from it, except for maybe something released on a yearly cycle. But for a company that has continuously been on fire for both their releases and their allegations, it was definitely not earned for them to do it here. Thankfully, it is a fake out, so it counts down and sends you back to the current scene, where it abruptly introduces a new character and a new planet for this final epilogue. And you might be able to tell what the problem is by now. Let's play a quick little game, and if you win, I'll buy you V-Bucks or something. Name one game or movie or TV show or anything in the last 20 years that introduced a new character in the final moments of the final installment that has been accepted well. Can't think of one? Good, because there aren't any. Typhon de Leon, the first ever Vault Hunter, is introduced over a fucking phone call. Not with a grand entrance, no elaborate mission to uncover him, but a goddamn phone call. For a game that goes out of its way to highlight characters that you've already fucking met before, it's bizarre that this legendary Vault Hunter is introduced at the tail end of the story with no build up and momentum and with a 30-second phone call. And for all of you who are going to bring up the logs that Typhon left around the planets, those don't fucking count. Besides the fact that he's a Vault Hunter, there's no reason to assume that he has any relevance to the story before this point. It's appalling, and even more so when the game drops a party popper of a bombshell that he's Tyrene's father. The number of compromises that you have to make in order for this game to make any sense at all is not even worth the time, especially when you find out that this guy is just a horny old uncle who likes to fuck with you when the fate of the universe is at risk. Lilith is screaming in your ear that the world is about to blow up, yet Shorty McOne-Eye over here is playing hopscotch with an electric whip sex toy or something like that. I sort of mentally checked out for this last section of the game because I was just so fucking bored of it. The ending is exactly what you expect. Tyrene shows up, pops a cap in her pop, and then goes on to become the most horrifying thing in this game, besides Vaughn's underwear. Once you end the De Leon bloodline, Lilith gets her powers back, then Supermans herself into the moon to stop the world from being ripped apart. And no, I am not joking about any of that. And once she closes the vault, her insignia is left on the sky as a message of hope to anyone on Pandora, and the credits begin to roll. That was so fucking stupid.
She's just a girl and she's on fire. Hotter than a fantasy.
What the fuck is this game? Is this 2012? What the actual fuck is happening? Is this what you thought your game was lacking? This game comes so close to being a proper sequel to Borderlands 2. The gameplay is nearly perfect. The returning cast is probably the best part about this mishmash of random shit. Environments are actually varied and stunning to fight in as compared to the deserts and deserts and deserts of Pandora. And there's certainly enough content here to justify the purchase. But the amount that this game's antagonists bring down the experience is honestly worth putting it off entirely. There's no end to their childish nature, and that's coming from some guy on the internet who uses XD in casual conversation and bitches about video game. Tyrene Calypso is about as static of a character as you can possibly get, and the fact that she doesn't undergo any change throughout this entire game is just wasted potential. I think that one of the best things that Borderlands 2 did with Handsome Jack was giving him his own story that you could see. From fucking with the Vault Hunters to leading an all-out assault against them, you could tangibly see him become the monster that he turns into by the end of the game. It was real in a way that most antagonists aren't. Troy does have this change of pace where he becomes insane with power and actually loses himself to it. He's an actual realized antagonist, but Tyreen doesn't get this arc. She isn't upset when you kill her brother. She doesn't have some realization about herself or what she's doing. She's a static and lifeless character, despite the fact that the entire game revolves around her. Hell, Handsome Jack has a more compelling arc in this game based off of one mission whose story has been explained before in the previous game. This game wants so badly to be Borderlands 2, but it fails in capitalizing on the thing that made Borderlands 2 work so well. Yeah, there's some pretty surface level jokes, missions with objectives like kill Shooty, make shoot face, or whatever the fuck, but it has the character and charm to do so. Its villains are realized in a way that doesn't require you to look deeper, but doing so rewards you with a story about loss, revenge, and blind ambition. Borderlands 3 throws all away for dated references and jabs at its own community. There's no arc for our main villain, our heroes barely have any arc of their own besides Eva of all people, and it doesn't even matter in the end. I thought that I was going to end up liking this game's story just because of the world building, in spite of the entire community bashing this game's story, but after playing it in its entirety, I understand why this game received less than favorable reviews for its narrative. Borderlands 3 is a culmination of a sequel that doesn't deserve the title. In so many instances, I found things that I would have enjoyed in this game, but it's pushed aside by the overarching narrative about a superficial goal with an antagonist as realized as cardboard. I wish I knew what compelled the writers to go from one of the best antagonists in gaming history to the epitome of misunderstanding your audience and purpose. If this game was anything like Destiny, where the story was practically absent and you're free to roam around different planets and complete dungeons, then this would be such an easy recommendation. But because its focus is its narrative, it becomes a type of product that I have trouble even coming to terms with. Maybe it's not entirely the devs' fault, considering that they had the monumental task of making the sequel to the biggest game in their franchise, but recognizing that they couldn't top it should have influenced them to change direction for their narrative. Borderlands 3 is a shell of its former self, and despite the fact that this game was never the sequel that many of us would have liked it to be, we'll still have the game that lived up to the name. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to like, subscribe, whatever the fuck you people do nowadays. I kind of want to let you guys know what I plan on making in the next couple of months. I've begun writing an open world analysis that will probably take me a while to make, but I think it'll be interesting nonetheless once it actually comes out. I have no idea what I'm doing for this channel still, so if you have any suggestions for reviews or any other type of content, please feel free to let me know down in the comments, or I don't know, just freaking send me a message in a bottle. I hope you all have a good day, and I will see you all very soon.